Welcome to Life Served Neat. In today's episode, we are welcoming Christi Thompson, founder and CEO of Loomiti, which is a digital marketing and strategy company who helps businesses understand who they are, who they should be talking to, how to say it, and how to get that seen out there. She's got a background in strategic marketing, sharp positioning, and event driven growth. She sees what is missing before it comes obvious to everybody else. Then she presents her clients with a lot of clear thinking, some decisive action, and those turn into results and good business outcomes. She blends creativity with discipline and grounds big ideas in the reality of today, which is changing very rapidly. She's as comfortable talking brand story as she is challenging assumptions, talking strategy, and then asking the hard questions. Today, she's bringing all of that energy, that perspective, and that insight to our conversation. So welcome, Christi Thompson, Auburn graduate, War Eagle.
War Eagle. Thank you so much, Beth. I'm so excited to be here and to be talking marketing and all things life with you.
We love having you here. So this is pretty exciting. But let's talk about what is top of mind for everybody today, and that is AI. From a marketing perspective, what is your view from your seat in the house about the current landscape today?
So it's taken over. I remember when my husband came to me and he said, "Hey, there's this thing called ChatGPT. You should really check it out." And I was like, no. And that was so wrong. That was so wrong. And the interesting thing is now with ChatGPT, and I'm just saying ChatGPT because I utilize that one a lot. There's Copilot, there's Gemini, all these other great platforms out there for AI. And they're called large language models. And Beth, I know you've been big on the large language model marketing, but what I'm seeing is it's overtaking Google at this current moment. Now, I don't have stats on that. I just know my own personal experience, everything that I see with other business owners out there. I've gone to offsites with business owners, and instead of saying, "Hey, let's Google this, let's look this up," they say, "Let's ChatGPT this." So we pretty much stay in ChatGPT the entire time without going to Google. Same thing on my personal phone. I switched out Google Chrome at the very bottom next to my text messages for ChatGPT because I'm asking it questions. I want just an answer. I don't want to filter the information. Maybe called lazy. I think it's called smart. But here we go. And I think people are seeing that's changing their results. Now, it's not saying stop doing things for Google, but yeah. What about you, Beth? What are you seeing with it?
Well, I think we've entered an era where people are using ChatGPT like a verb, sort of like how every tissue is a Kleenex, regardless of the
Yes.
brand. People say ChatGPT, even if they're utilizing the other large language models. It's entered our collective consciousness to that degree, which I think is interesting. When you say that it's overtaking Google, do you mean like how we traditionally think of Google and not necessarily Google Gemini, which is their large language model?
Right. Right. So don't stop doing your SEO, which is getting to the top of Google, working on those organic search results, because people are still utilizing it when ChatGPT doesn't give them what they want. Humans, we want to take the shortcut. We want to get there faster. And that's what ChatGPT does. You don't have to sort through all those websites that pop up. You can ask ChatGPT a question like, "I bought my husband a Valentine's Day gift. It was for a record player. I want the best stereo system that goes with this record player." And instead of me having to sort through all these websites to find out, it gave me one answer and then it gave me options. And I didn't have to do a lot of work for those options. People are doing that nowadays for everything.
Everything. One of the things I think that can be confusing to people because there's just so many acronyms being thrown around. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between SEO, GEO, and AEO? Because that can be a little muddy.
Absolutely. Yes. So you've got search engine optimization, and that's the traditional method, right? So as soon as websites became available, Google has this whole way of classifying them. If you type in a keyword, HVAC training units, you want to get to the top. You want to see a website that has the correct information, and that's your search engine optimization. So it's organic results. But now you have GEO, which is generative engine optimization. Now you have to also optimize your website, your social media platforms, your personal brand to rank in ChatGPT. And it's not even necessarily ranking, it's more so a resource that you want it to pull your information, just like the stereo system did for me. It pulled me different products. If I ask it a question about email marketing or something like that, it's going to pull resources for me. And so that's what you want to be, is you want to be that thought leader now. Um, and that was always kind of there in SEO, but a lot of people didn't want to put in that effort. But now you don't have an option.
Oh, that's interesting. Thought leadership is becoming more mandatory for these new forms of search, which is generative and artificial intelligence returns. So that operates a little bit differently under the hood. Talk a little bit about what you're having to do differently as a marketer for those new kinds of returns.
Okay, so one of the biggest things is thought leadership. And what I mean by that, it can work in your personal brand, it can work in a company, it can work just all aspects. You want to be the expert on whatever you are marketing or selling. So, pools. There's a pool supply company I work with, and they, instead of just saying, okay, we're just going to sell, 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 which is the traditional model, they now have to write blogs and different things around how to service your hot tub in the winter, how to pool construction, when's the best time to start pool construction, those different things, because those are the questions people are asking. And when they ask it on ChatGPT, you want to populate as a resource, because the next question you may ask once you get to all of that is, what pool companies are out there? And then that's where you want to populate. So instead of doing just selling, selling, talking only about products, you need that educational aspect. And you have to put that out on multiple platforms. So you put it out as a blog, you can put it out as a podcast, YouTube, all these different platforms. But one of the biggest ones right now that's coming is Medium and Reddit. Those have always
Okay.
been huge, but they're getting more important now.
And that's not something people typically think of when they think about doing social media marketing. You're thinking Facebook, TikTok,
That's right.
Instagram. Those are like your YouTube. Those
Flashy.
those are your big ones. But what you're saying is underneath that, your Reddits and your Mediums are getting a lot of weight from
That's right.
these. So when you talk to a new client, what are some of the questions that you ask them to assess kind of where they are in their brand story and thought leadership journey?
So some of it is they don't know yet. I have to ask some questions. I have to figure it out. And my favorite thing is you got to provide a marketing plan. So when I talk to them about where they're at, I like to do a little research ahead of time. Like, okay, where are they ranking? Are they on certain platforms? All of this behind the scenes knowledge. I want to be a partner to them, not just, hey, here's a service, that's it. I want to hit their goals, but not just their goals. I want to make sure that we're going towards the right goals. So there may be some tweaking, there's more strategy involved. My husband recently did a webinar and they talked about vanity goals. And so that's one thing we want to get away from, are these vanity goals where people think that may be important. Like, how many impressions did your Facebook post have? That's great, right? But we want to get to that next level where it's okay, did it influence them in the process of purchasing or partnering with you? I've got to get to the root of that with a client. So I look at their business and I determine what works best for that type of business. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into that. And one of the things I like to ask them is, what's your number one goal for marketing? Everyone's going to say sales for the most part, but how
Yeah.
much? What's your sales process like? Because if I don't understand your processes, I can't help you. It's a lot more in depth than just saying, hey, here's a social media. you know, you got to get really into their strategy to get them what they want.
I like that. So let's take that and flip that for an individual person. Maybe you don't own a business
Right.
right now, but you still want to establish yourself and build your own personal brand. How do you kind of take that philosophy and for individuals, give them something that we could apply tomorrow after listening to this?
It's funny you say that, because I've always been a big proponent that your resume, you got to market yourself, is what I told myself. So when I was working for a company and I worked there for 10 years when I came out of college, I realized I got to market myself too. And LinkedIn recommendations, you got to get testimonials just like you would for a business for yourself. So that's one of the things I love, is if you are trying to market yourself, which you should always be doing, get recommendations from people that you've worked with, any projects, save all of your work that you've done. if you can, you got to ask, you got to make sure that you're allowed to with
Yeah.
the company, but do that and then get yourself out there. Sometimes there are rules around it with the company that you're working for, but most of them see that if you rise, the business is going to rise with the tide. So you want to make sure that all your employees are doing well and putting themselves out there. So, Beth, you're right. I mean, I absolutely love what you do, getting out there on LinkedIn, and you're not just like telling stuff that doesn't matter. Like you're connecting with people because people need to remember that LinkedIn, Facebook, it is a platform for people at the end of the day. And so just getting your information out there, doing podcast blogs, marketing yourself, testimonials, all of that.
I think one thing people are already tired of, and it's shocking how fast this has happened, is the sheer volume of clearly AI generated content. People are already hitting their limit with that. So I think the more
Mhm.
people forward that you can do, which I think is what's so powerful about short form video, because you could clone all of that. Clearly, the technology exists today to
Right.
do that. But if you can do it in a way like this, where it's clear that these are people, I think as 2026 goes on, people are going to gravitate more towards that. So I think video is powerful for that because it's the least likely thing to be completely fabricated. What do you think
Right.
about that as a philosophy?
You touched on like an absolute perfect point. So you brought
Okay.
up the AI, what like they coined a term for it, AI slop. It's just like
I've seen
getting
it.
this out here, and business owners think, oh well, a monkey can do it. They just put it into ChatGPT and it's out. That's
Yeah.
not how it works. And you're right. It's doing the videos. I'm not saying don't utilize ChatGPT. Work with ChatGPT. I know somebody who's building an agent to think like them, to use language like them.
Yeah.
So it's still got them in it and it's not that AI slop. So utilizing that, the videos is great because people know that's not, AI. And even if you use a little AI generation, it's got you in it. It's powerful because it's pulling your story. And that's one thing I always like to say. You can go to ChatGPT, you can pull an image, right? But you're going to need to work it a little bit because I can go on Facebook now and I can say, okay, that was made with ChatGPT, that was made. And that's not necessarily a problem, except everyone's brand starts to look the same. So now
Oh,
you have all these brands that are the same. So make a little modification. You can type into ChatGPT and say, here's my color branding. Here's my, fonts that I use, different things to change it out. And then, like you said, videos. That's the number one right now because it's a little harder to do AI generation on those videos so
mhm,
people know it's you.
mhm. And you can you can talk more directly to people. I think
Yes.
that's why video is gonna become more important with that.
Yes,
You're
because
you're
it's people
talking
to
directly to
people.
people. Less production. I think what I wanna say here is that people are gonna look for the things that are less obviously polished in post-production and more almost like gritty, like somebody literally just filming themselves on their cell phone
That's right.
as they're walking their dog.
That's it.
Yeah,
Authentic. People
yeah.
want people to be authentic. And people it's great to have those fancy videos, but it's more about getting it out there because if you have to spend, 6 months getting a video out, that's just not worth it. People just want to see you. And I think somewhat influencers, on Instagram, they're kind of doing that a little bit because they are more realistic videos and that's why it's so popular is because people want to see people
People wanna see
and they're
people.
yeah.
Would you have any advice that you would give to someone who's young, early in their career, maybe mid-20s, who feels like that they don't have anything that anybody would care about to say?
Yeah. There's gotta be something. I know for a fact there is some type of story, some type of spin that you can do on it, and there is actually this thing out here called, like, story brand. Just your history, all I mean, just get out there. You can write down different things. What have you done in your childhood? Have you traveled? Have you done this? You can put a spin on anything that you do. Um, I mean, what was it? I was, writing a story on, okay, I need to 3, 2, 1 it.
Oh, go ahead. 3, 2, 1 it. You can start over and he'll
Do
edit
I
that right
actually
out. You're
say
good.
it?
Oh, okay. All right. All right. I'll try to do that. Okay. Very good. Yeah. You can just 3, 2, 1 and start over. You're doing great. This is
Okay.
going to be good.
Okay. Okay. 3. Okay, so what I would say to someone who they don't think they have something to offer, everyone has something to offer. Whether it's something in their past that shaped them for who they are today, it doesn't have to be something big. It could be, you know, a pet that you had that talk about that can then be related to something else. You just got to think about the bigger picture. You may think that you haven't done a lot, you may think all this, but you're working, you're seeing things going on. There are stories there, and you just gotta put in the effort to think about it. You can pop it into ChatGPT and say, "This is my life. Help me come up with some stories." But and those people, they need to get it out there on LinkedIn. They need to, get those videos going, and then it'll just start flowing, and before they know it, they'll have just story after story after story.
I read an article recently about Peloton. So Peloton was struggling as a company, and then COVID hit and they
Mhm.
exploded because everybody needed to buy the Peloton bikes and um, do their cycling classes at home. And they exploded into worth billions of dollars. And then after we came out of the other side of COVID, they were in the process of crashing and burning after that. They brought in a new CEO who realized quickly that the problem with Peloton was not the technology or the bikes, but in order to get people to come back, it was their instructors was the key. And so what
Mm,
they did was they encouraged every one of their instructors to build their own personal brand. You don't see a lot of companies that do this, but they encouraged every one of their instructors to really build their own personal brand and build their own tribes. And so before you knew it, there they had turned around because the people were coming back for the instructors,
that's
and
it,
they
the
developed
people.
these tribes of people. They were in the same classes together. They gravitated around the same instructor, which then began to translate into real life interactions. And that
Yes.
whole philosophy is what has saved Peloton. It was a fascinating article.
No, that's really interesting because 'cause I've actually seen it on a smaller scale as well. There is an aesthetics company that I've worked with, and you have estheticians, and they're just local. So you have the company itself, and then these estheticians build their own brands to bring people in because it's that people to people. When you're getting a facial, you're working with an individual. So when you grow that relationship with them, so they're encouraged to have Instagram and TikTok and to build their own base in relation to the company, so tying it back somewhat, but you're right.
I think that's gonna be something we see more of as we go through 2026 into 2027, as it all ties back into the authenticity conversation, I think.
That's right, and that's why I've been over sales and marketing department before, and typically what I don't love to see is just salespeople being just salespeople. I think that they have to build a brand, like what you're saying, because if you're just selling cybersecurity, that doesn't mean anything. You're a salesperson. I don't see you as an expert. But if you position yourself as an expert, you've worked with all these companies, I'm more apt to want to call you back. And I see this with realtors a lot. So there's one guy, and he's been really genius about it down here. He's a realtor, but he's also become a food critic. Not really critiquing them, but more just going and giving local businesses a boost. He'll go to their restaurant, film it. And I see where it is. You wouldn't think those two would connect, but they have like helped each other. So, by having both of those, he's meeting in the community, he's getting himself out there while also building his real estate business.
That is fascinating because just recently in my TikTok, I had a creator come up in my feed who is in Manhattan, a taxi cab driver turned food critic. So now he goes into these restaurants and some of them extremely high-end restaurants and reviews them to the point where he's a celebrity now in Manhattan. And when the restaurants know that he's in their building at their restaurant, the chefs are coming out, they're sending things to his table. And he's a taxi cab driver in New York City that is now an influencer on TikTok as a restaurant reviewer.
I love it. I
You
love
would
those stories.
yeah, you would not think those things would go together, but there he is. It's really cool.
It is. It's so fascinating to see, and that's why that personal brand is so important. So get out there, people. Everyone loves food. Like, you can
Right.
start there.
Well, that's something that can be intimidating, I think. People are like, "Oh, building a
Yes.
personal brand, that's so intimidating. I wouldn't even know how to start." What would be like your first 3 things that you would tell somebody if you did nothing else, do these 3 things in this order just to get started? What would your advice be?
Okay, so number 1 is you gotta have a great picture to start with, because people have to recognize you. So doing just like the selfie or anything like that, like get yourself a good picture. You can have a friend take it up against a brick wall and portrait mode on an iPhone, but get yourself a good picture because you are the brand. So you want something that's going to look great out there. And then secondly is get on all the social media platforms. They're free. You have nothing to lose, and there's free software out there to schedule it out for you if you're like a individual. And that may be a little intimidating. So if you want to start, take a step back, just start one. Start on Instagram, start on Facebook, or start on TikTok. But Instagram, you can start with pictures. If you're a little afraid to get out there with video, just start with pictures. You can start, um, taking photographs of flowers on a walk, right? Maybe that's where you start, and then you build it up and you get more confident, and then you shoot a video. So you got to have a great picture, you got to get on a platform. And then the third thing is, get your friends and your family behind you. So invite them to like your page, get them to share it. Once you have that tribe, because you'd kind of talked about a tribe and you lift each other up, you feel much better. And then you feel like you can do more.
What should people be focused on? You referenced earlier vanity metrics. So when
Yes.
people do this and they're like, "Oh, I posted this thing and like nobody liked it, or I only had 2 likes and nobody commented." How should people start thinking about the metrics of what they're getting when they post something?
Exactly. Okay. So that's a great question, Beth, because sometimes you may look at it and be like, man, I didn't get any engagement, but you got 10,000 in sales. Or it can be backwards where you didn't get any sales, but you got 100 followers. So it really depends for like a person, an individual. Right now, if you don't have anything to sell necessarily, you're just wanting to get out there, then you want followers. That's more than the likes and the engagement on your post. You want people to connect on your account because then they're guaranteed to see your content at some point. So followers would be a great starting point. But for a business, you want to look at conversions. So sometimes when I run Facebook ads, I'll have people be like, man, I didn't get any likes or comments. Okay, but you had 20,000 people visit your website. So, which would you prefer as a business if you have 20,000 people visiting your website, which is more than just a like and a comment? So, that's where I kind of see the vanity metrics is a lot of times people just want likes and comments because it's there, it's visual. They're like, wow, that person's great. They have 900 likes. But really, it means a lot more behind the scenes. If you're driving people to your website, if they're filling in forms, and if they're ultimately making sales. Now, I'm not saying that social media is going to get you sales if you're selling some 10,000 a month product
Mhm.
or service, but getting them to your website is one step in the conversion process.
You mentioned Facebook ads, and every platform has ads, and ChatGPT's in the news now is a big deal over the Super Bowl because they're gonna start putting ads in their freemium
Mhm.
version of things. So watching that back and forth was kind of fun. But talk about pay to play. There's
Yes. Okay. That's a big one, Beth.
it is a big one.
It's just because we hear it a lot. I've almost gotten to the point where I don't sell social media unless it comes with some advertising behind it. Because what happens is you build a Facebook page, and it's that old adage like, if you build it, they will come. No, they will not. They will not. Let me get that straight on social media. They will not, unless you put in some effort, unless you're inviting people to the page and doing things like that or doing events, which, Beth, you've been great about event marketing and bringing in people that way. But if you're not doing events and you're not inviting your followers, you have to pay to play. So, what you're back in the day, you just had to have a website because everyone else had one, right? Now it's you got to have a Facebook page because everyone else has one. But now there's another level. Now you have to run ads because it's not as simple as just having a Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn page. you have to get people to follow you. And when you set up a page, it's only going to your followers most of the time. It's not getting outside of that. And if it is, it's just a little bit. If you want that high end results, if you want to push your business to the next level, you have to pay to play.
Or even your personal brand. If you're in the mode of
Yes,
building your personal brand, this applies even to that. Even if you're
that's
not
right.
selling a product, but you want to build your personal brand and raise your visibility, you still have to be engaged in that as if you were a business.
Absolutely, and that's something to note on the ads when you run with that. You wanna run, like, that thought leadership type of material, the stuff that's gonna get people interacting. One of my favorite strategies is you put out something that's really fun, people react to it. Did you know on, Facebook, you can invite anyone who's interacted with you to follow your page, which is really awesome. So that's a great way to gain followers, and that's what you want, if you're a personal brand, is to get those followers.
And thought leadership can be kind of an intimidating term in and of itself. Like people are like, oh, I'm not a leader. I don't have a title. I don't have anything to be, thought leadership about. But that's really not true. Anybody can sort of engage in that, even if it's just telling a story. That's
That's
thought
right.
leadership in a way, like connecting some dots. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, you couldn't get any more true on that, Beth, because like an HVAC technician, he may not be the owner of the business. He's out in the field. He probably has some more knowledge than even the business owner at times because he's seeing the issues. So when he sees an issue, that could be a story. Maybe it's somebody let all their leaves get piled up on their AC and it broke it down. And so he's got a story to tell. He's a thought leader. His thing is, hey, make sure your leaves don't end up like this and then your HVAC doesn't break. So people don't think about that like when you're out there in the field, you are accumulating so much experience, expertise. That's a thought leader. But you're right, the word may be a little intimidating, so just think of it as learning. Just continuously learning. Whatever you learn, others may want to learn.
I like that. And so many things can be related to other things, like we were just talking about the people that have a day job being a realtor turned into a restaurant reviewer in their
That's right.
local community. Those are the great stories, and anybody can do that. This has never been more accessible to people than it is today.
That's right. That's right.
So there's a lot of platforms out there. Are there platforms that are coming that may not have hit the mainstream yet that we've not heard of?
Well, what was the one? So I just heard a story and I'm not 100% on it, but Vine is making a comeback.
Oh,
And do y'all remember that? That was like
I
very short-lived like video clips. And I know somebody, I want to say like purchased it or is bringing it back. I don't have all the specifics, but I would keep a lookout on that just because what I'm seeing is content gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So we started with like YouTube videos and people would post these like hour-long videos and you would sit there and you'd watch them. And now you got shorts, which got even shorter. And now you probably getting even shorter with these vines that are coming. So something to check up on is that. But I think it's the blogging platforms, Beth. So I think Medium, Reddit, has not been typically very attractive to a lot of people because it's a different way of it takes more effort on these platforms than others. And a lot of times people just want to post. But this you have to put effort in. You have to find threads, subreddits about your products or the field that you're in and make an conscious effort to connect with these people.
I think I think you're also seeing a return in interest to some long form content
You
as a
are though.
counter
Yes.
the counterpoint to all of the short form things as well.
Yes, because I think what happens, it's funny, this is what, and I know this is a little off topic, but I saw this with email and print, Martin mailings. I knew I'd get it out there. Mailings straight to your house. So at one point, people were so in love with email. But what happened is it just saturated the market. You get thousands of emails a day. And now the system's gotten so smart that it filters your emails and will put them into an other folder or promotions. And so I am suggesting a lot of people go back to direct mailers, sending out print mail with a stamp, handwritten, whatever you need to do to get it out there. Just because think about it, you don't get as much mail as you do email nowadays. So I think that's the same thing with the videos, is that it was long form, then it's short form. Now you're getting so many YouTube shorts, so many TikToks that people want to go back to what they once had. So I see that happen a lot in marketing.
All right, I'm going to pause here for a minute and collect my thoughts so that we can start again on a new tactic. This is really good. How are you feeling about things?
I'm good. I flubbed it just a bit there, but
But I think that little bit of hiccup is what lends it, like, these are real people. Again, if it's
it's
too
authentic.
polished, if it's too polished, people don't think it's real.
I
Okay,
agree.
so, before we launch back into it, what's something important that you would like to talk about that we haven't gotten into?
Really, it was just I think the AI was like the number one biggest thing to talk about just because of what's going on. Maybe we want to talk about you know, you remember like one of our biggest things was just like getting people to engage that, you can hire a marketing firm, but you've got to engage. So maybe that's a big thing, like get your employees engaging, get them sharing the content.
Am I
Oh,
getting
can you hear me?
stuff? Yeah, I can hear you. Howie came and got my phone because it was vibrating on the counter.
Oh,
Howie, before we continue, is there anything that you think that we need to touch on? Okay.
let me check on that bond thing.
Howie's asking if you have the energy to like kind of cut here and then come in and record a second one. Cause I actually do have something I'd love to talk to you about, which is about the fact your like origin story and why you decided to create a business. But I think that should be like a whole separate episode and how
Yeah,
you're kind of living the American dream and you're being a job creator for other people. And I'd like to really talk about that if you're
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Howie said that if you wanna do that, then that would become our first episode, and this one would become the second. And we can
Okay.
just change our tops and then come back and
Yeah.
record another one if you have time, because 'cause we're kind of in a flow, and I think that's a real
Okay.
interesting story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
she's in for that. Alright, he's given us the high five on that. Okay, he's Okay, he says that we should wrap up this one and then,
Okay.
just do a closing and then go on to the next one because we could talk for hours on
Oh
AI.
my
So
gosh,
we'll
yes.
do like when we come back and do a third episode, then we'll have new things to talk about because it's
More
evolving
things.
so fast. Right. But
Okay.
okay. All right. So let me go through here and let's look what our Okay, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back to your 3-step. I'm gonna close this out with, like, for anybody who's doing any
Yes.
kind of, raising your brand and wanting to elevate yourself, keep just refreshing on here's your 3 steps. Great headshot,
Perfect.
get on all of the platforms, and get your network involved in
That's
helping
it.
you raise up and don't worry about your metrics to start. Don't even worry about
No.
that.
No.
Just start developing a consistent practice of posting content and then visit your metrics in 3 to 6 months. How about that?
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay, then Howie wants me to wrap up by saying, by closing it out and saying, Christy, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what are your socials? What is the best way for them to reach out to you? How about that?
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
so that you can be ready to drop that in. Okay. All right. All right. So I'll close out with retouching on the 3-step process. I'll throw it to you, Christy, to ask if people wanted to get in touch with you. You'll give me an answer to that, and then I'll do a close up. Thanks for joining us today. See you next time.
Sounds great.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. So I'm going to count us in 3, 2, 1. So, as we wrap up our episode today, I just want to revisit and talk about the 3-step process. And this is really for individuals that want to build a personal brand and start the process of elevating themselves, or maybe business owners that are a new business. The 3-step process: get a great headshot, get on all of the social media platforms, and start engaging your friends and family to follow you and help you begin traction. And don't even worry about your metrics as you're getting started. Is that a good recap of what people should do?
Absolutely, Beth. Absolutely.
Great. So if people want to get in touch with you, Christi, what is the best way for them to reach out to you? Where do they find you?
Absolutely. So shoot me an email. Send me an email. We'll connect. I work with Tonsor Group. They're one of the best. So Christi at tonsor group.com. Just send it over to me. Stop.
Do you want to start
Is it
that over? Or do
Yeah, is
you
it
you can you
tonsorgroup.com? I forgot my own
well,
email because I don't email myself.
it is, but you can also throw your own, if you want to put your Loomiti in there, you're welcome to do that, or your Loomiti socials. You don't have to run that through Tonsor. You can do your own. This is kind of content for you and your business to be able
Okay.
to utilize. So if you want to do that, do you have a social that Loomiti's on?
Yes, on on LinkedIn. So we can do that one.
LinkedIn. Okay.
But can I also talk about my Tonsor Group email too? Is that
You
okay,
can
or do you
you
not want me to cross? Okay.
You are totally welcome to talk about your Tonsor Group
Mhm.
email because we're not overtly referencing Tonsor Group on this podcast. We're keeping the brands very
Oh, you want
separate.
them separate?
Where
Okay.
but it's okay because eventually there'll be some cross-pollination, but it's not like Life Serve Neat is a pitch for selling Tonsor.
Gotcha.
But it's okay to
Okay.
reference if you want somebody to email you at Christi@tonsorgroup.com, you can totally say that if you would prefer that, but you don't have to because you can also say marketing@lumity.com if you want to generate some direct leads, that's okay as well, and direct people to
Okay.
find you on LinkedIn. So, you can approach it whichever way you feel most comfortable with.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So let me go back and start from the top and redo our closing and pitch
Sorry.
it back to you.
Okay.
Oh, right. Okay, we're gonna go back and start from the top. But this is fine. You're good with the way we're doing. He's good with it. So as long as he's good with it,
Okay.
we're good. So I'm gonna go back and
Awesome.
start our closing all over again, and he'll just take out
Okay,
this whole
sorry.
chunk. You don't have to be sorry. We're practicing this. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is the very first time I've hosted
You're doing
a
great.
podcast.
That's insane because it's like you've been doing it forever.
Yeah, this is a learning new skill for all of us. She said it seems like I've been doing this forever. Oh, like all the videos I shot for Market Scale? Yeah, so you know how MPI uses Market Scale? Well, Service Logic uses Market Scale too. And so I have been shooting terrible videos for Market Scale for years, and I send over the clips to them, and they edit them for me because they want thought leaders from
Nice.
Service Logic, and nobody's willing to do it except for me. And so they're always asking me, sending me stuff, please record a video about this, please
I
record a
love
video
it.
about that. And so I'm I'm gonna I did it a lot. You can see it on my LinkedIn from a few years ago, and then I
Yes,
totally
I
dropped
remember
off
that.
that was Market Scale doing all that for me. I totally
Wow.
dropped off the face of the earth, but they're on me again because again, they don't have enough people at Service Logic that are sending them content. I don't even have to pay for it. The corporate pays for it.
Yeah, you need then do it. That's like they're helping your personal brand.
Christy's Christy's like, do it. They're helping your personal brand. Do it. So she's on me about doing it. So
For free.
so I'm actually going to take this, I'm actually doing this 3-step program that you've laid out myself, to build
Mhm.
my personal brand because life comes at you fast, man. I mean, okay. So I'm going to count us in and we're going to
Okay.
start over. Do you know what platforms, emails you're going to reference? You good?
Yes. So I was gonna say, if you want to connect on LinkedIn, follow me at Loomiti. And then if you want, I work with a great group of people. Send it to me at Christi@tonsor group.com.
That's fine. That's totally fine. Okay. I like it. All right. So 5, 4, 3, 2. So, as we wrap up this episode, I want to revisit your 3-step recommendation that anybody can do, whether you're an individual contributor at a company, you want to raise your personal brand, your personal visibility, because life comes at us all fast. And so that's a good thing for every person to be doing. Or maybe you've got a small business and you're just getting started in the marketing arena. 3-step process: great headshot, getting on all the social platforms and developing a posting practice regularly. And 3, getting your friends and family engaged, helping you start to build some traction in it and not to worry about your metrics in the early stages.
That's right. Absolutely. That couldn't be a better process right there to kick you off.
All right. So we're all going to start doing that then. So if people want to reach out to you, Christi, how do they find you? How do they connect with you?
Absolutely. So I am on LinkedIn. You can follow my business, Loomiti, there. Or I work with another great group of people, Tonsor Group. So send me an email at christy@tonsorgroup.com and we can look at marketing plans or just talk marketing or AI or whatever you'd like.
I love it. So spell Lumity so people know how to find it.
Absolutely. Loomiti.
All right, and that's going to be a topic that I would like to dive more into is once we get through the 3 steps, what are the next steps? So everyone, Christi will be
Absolutely.
coming back and we're going to continue this conversation and look at once you get your basics done, where do you go after that? So everybody, thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.
Thanks so much, Beth.
Thanks for coming.